Remember this?
Who talks about the WNBA? Who talks about women? Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right.
And after getting embarrassed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the executive producer of First Take. You ever heard of Monica McNutt? You have now. Because she's on First Take a lot.
He said this.
Shanae Ogumake, absolutely wonderful, spectacular basketball analyst, et cetera, WNBA player in her own right. Ask her how it's been to be on First Take. How about Andrea Carter, who's a rising star in this business? How much do you think First Take helped that? What about Kimberly Martin? What about Molly Kiram herself?
And this. Let's not forget the context, of course. This was when, for some reason, I will hammer this point home and die on this hill. It made national news that Kennedy Carter hard fouled Caitlin Clark. Okay. McNutt was displeased with how First Take did not give women's basketball the air it deserves on ESPN's airwaves, and thus.
We're talking about them maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, so let me, I know we got to go to break. Welcome to the world of being a woman, Stephen A., and how you have to dance about your word choice and you have to please everybody and anybody as you navigate your being. We are talking about the world's greatest
How about being a black man?
Being black. Hold on 1 second.
Have you?
So this is what I'm saying to y'all, though, and I know we got to go to break. And we didn't necessarily go there, and maybe we should. There are so many layers in this conversation around the way that it's being discussed.
The exchange would continue.
And yes, Shannon, I know y'all are going to say and Stephen A., I know you just shared that you have talked about the WNBA on your program, too. You guys may not have said everybody, but the prevailing sentiment for folks that are just joining the WNBA and following women's sports is unfair to the women of this league, to your point, who have laid the groundwork for Caitlin Clark to come in and now take it to the next level. That's all I'm saying in these conversations.
And come to its breaking point.
Who talk about women's sports more than First Take?
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right, we got to go. You guys.
So did you say
you're my guy, but
who does more than
Stephen
us?
I'm talking to you.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm talking to you about the power that you have.
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Okay.
All right, let's.
You're my guy, but I'm talking to you.
I got it.
Guys, I really appreciate
you're my girl, but you've missed a lot of episodes of First Take. You missed a lot.
Stephen A.,
Guys,
3 years ago, you would not talk about the W at this level. Don't do that.
Guys.
Nobody was, Monica.
Guys,
you making Stephen A's point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A's point.
Do my job. Please let me do my job.
So the fallout was tremendous. Media critic Richard Deitch, who's been covering sports media for a long time, would tweet ESPN's Jimmy Pitaro and Burke Magnus should honestly give Monica McNutt a raise. This takes some gumption. The idea that First Take has been a sports media leader in women's sports talk is absurd on face. I agree. That said, I 100% appreciate that the show has amped up women's sports talk from years past. Jimmy Trana, another media critic for decades for Sports Illustrated, would write in his column, I don't want to paint the media with one brush, but as someone who covers this stuff, I'd say 99% of sports media, including First Take, did not cover the WNBA the way they're covering it now. And even now, they're not covering the WNBA. They're covering Caitlin Clark. That is a, target emoji point. Because when they do talk about the WNBA, it has to be around a very select few players, and at this point, it's probably around two. It's around Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. It is not about any other players within the labor force for the WNBA and their accomplishments. It's just not. It's just not. So there's some truth in these jokes, right? Stat Matt would tweet, Monica McNutt is about to be the first black woman to get Max Kellerman off First Take. Respect. To be clear, Stephen A. Smith did insist WNBA players were jealous of Caitlin Clark and the league should do more to protect his word, the asset that is Clark. And that takes us to a profile of Monica McNutt via the Washington Post, and I give all the credit in the world to Ben Strauss. He put together a really good piece. When it comes to sports media, he puts probably some of the best that we have seen. Love his work. McNutt told Strauss over breakfast, "Please tell me what it means to protect the asset and compete at a high level," she would say. "It's like suddenly y'all don't know how to talk about competition because there's vaginas involved." Her words. She would add, "You mean to tell me that nobody in the NBA and NFL is jealous? Why is this a thing that women can't be?" Again, we have seen throughout history, and I believe it's that we, in a male hierarchy / dominated society, we evolve, we learn, and we grow. The problem is those at the tippy top who maybe serve as executive producers, maybe they serve as CEOs, don't wish to do it. And that is where the product overall gets held back. From awful announcing. Then McNutt added a kicker that cut directly at Smith's own jealousy as he seeks to become the highest paid talent at ESPN. Unequivocally true. Unequivocally. Back to Strauss. McNutt compared those accusations to Smith's very public contract demands, in which he often has declared that he deserves to be the highest paid talent at the four-letter network. McNutt would say the following, which is, in one word, revealing. Quote, "The numbers he's going after because of Pat McAfee, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck, he might say they're raising market value," she told Strauss. "But at the bottom of that is they're not about to get paid more than me." Sounds like jealousy to me, but I haven't seen Inside Out 2. I'll get through this, then I'll save my thoughts for later. What else is noteworthy is that McNutt has appeared just once on First Take since the day after that June 3rd blow-up when the show was live from the National Association of Black Journalists Conference, but they both maintain that their relationship remains and is cordial. Most importantly to McNutt, you're telling women how to exist. If we're going to talk about athletes, let's talk about athletes. Let's not tell women how to compete because that's something different. There were a lot of interesting revelations in the Strauss piece. One of them was that Monica McNutt said she received text messages from some people at ESPN saying to her, "Do not let them bully you. Do not let Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith bully you on First Take." And she didn't. She stood on it. And that is why she, whether she likes it or not, I feel like there's there's internal strife of like, yeah, I did really well and I tried to publicly right a wrong with the number one person who practically runs the network at ESPN. But at the same time, like, do I really want this viral fame? Because she's talked about how she's sort of struggled with it. And I get that. But what I will also say is, in that viral fame, it turns out that she exposed the show, the number one show in sports media, because there are only so many lies that a house could be built on before it gets whisked away by a small gust of wind. And that wind was Monica McNutt. And I appreciate what she did. I truly, truly, truly do. Because there needs to be objectivity. There needs to be honesty. Stephen A. Smith saying that they are the leader in women's sports talk is hogwash. It's an insane talking point. The other big thing, because we saw this in Stephen A. Smith's, I can't call it an interview, more so discussion with Dan Le Batard on the Le Batard Show, when Le Batard indicated that he really did not like what Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith did to sports media, because to be very clear, there is a trickle-down effect here. When they were on the rise, then when they made it, and seeing the mini-me Stephen A's and the mini-me Skip Baylesses start popping up left and right, he said he hated what they did to sports media. And Stephen A. Smith would go on to say, it is about the money. So when she says this, that he doesn't want to be outdone by a McAfee, by an Aikman, by a Buck, it's 1000% true. He has talked about it. He has said it time and time again.